Welcome back. The Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, recently admitted that 62% of the 257 municipalities are dysfunctional. The Auditor General, Kimi Makwetu, in the meantime, says irregular or wasteful expenditure at local government level has increased by 75% from 16 billion rands to more than 28 billion rands. Residents at different municipalities continue to suffer poor services, including lousy provision of critical services such as water. The problems are many and varied, but why is the situation deteriorating? The Executive Director at the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, responsible for local government strategy, is Dr. Makhosi Khoza, who joins us to discuss these problems and hopefully to offer some solutions. And as always, we ask you to be part of the conversation on social media. The hashtag is the Modise Network. Dr. Makhosi Khoza, a pleasure to catch up with you.
Thank you very much to have me, Tim.
Much appreciated. And I suppose having stepped out of being in politics, in parliament, and looking at the situation from outside brings a different perspective altogether. How has the experience been so far?
Absolutely, it does bring a different experience. First of all, when you are looking at it, you are looking at it not from an ideological standpoint. You are looking at what is playing out in South Africa from a citizen perspective, not necessarily from a member of parliament perspective who is confined by ideological orientation and organizational policies that you can't say something like this or something like that. So it's completely different. Absolutely.
Now, I use the word deteriorating. And I may be exaggerating. You correct me. Do you think it's deteriorating, the situation at municipal level, or it's improving?
Frankly, I think we've reached the crisis point. And I think if National Treasury was to be honest with us, they will already confirm that even the national fiscus is beginning to feel the kind of crisis, the impact of the crisis at local government level. You must understand that when industries when industries are closing down in municipalities simply because the municipality is no longer able to pay for their electricity to Eskom, you must understand that your CIT, which is your corporate income tax, declines, your PIT will obviously decline. And so what happens at local government level has a direct impact on what happens at national level and determines the state of health at a national level.
Well, it sounds to me that for now, money is the problem. When you talk about the declining taxes and the collection and the ability to pay for the services from the utility providers, do you have a sense of how much money is needed to fix the municipalities? You say it has reached crisis levels at this time.
There is so much that is wrong at local government level. You must also remember that we have another a category C municipality, the district municipalities. Previously, when there were regional councils, they were charging regional levies, but those were abolished, and subsequently there was nothing to replace that kind of revenue, and they are expected to deliver infrastructure at local government level. So there is a serious issue of underfunding for municipalities. I know that because I'm also the former CEO of SALGA. That is a fact. Municipalities are grossly underfunded. And the reality is that there is a relationship between the availability of resources and the ability to deliver services. And it's even worse when that money that you have, the little money that you have, is not directed towards the services. Obviously, you face imminent collapse.
But typically, I mean, the wastage that comes about with the limited funding that is there, what would you say is the key driver thereof? I mean, when you listen and you are a resident in any of the municipalities, you hear that there are irregular expenditures or wasteful expenditure that has grown by 75% in 1 year, moving from 16 billion to 28 billion. This is money that was there and the money that was not used in a constructive manner.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Tim. You see, what you need to understand, if you have paralysis at the head level, at your top leadership level, obviously you are actually regularizing that bad conduct. And basically what is happening at local level, all these scandals that we are happening about or with Bosasa and so forth, at local level, people are mirroring that. Those leaders at municipal level, they are doing the same thing, because the leadership that we have has not acted. They have been extremely injudicious. They have not been decisive. They have not taken a clear stand on corruption. And because they are themselves are implicated in these corrupt activities.
But now, you know, when we talk about poor communities and we say we want to provide services to the people, what do we mean? If you cannot provide the basic services like water or electricity, then what's the point of government then?
You know, I'm moving from a standpoint that says, I think now it's time for the citizen. I think South African citizens have allowed the politicians to set the agenda for them, and they have kind of ceded their rights to politicians. And I honestly do believe that if we are to change local government, we need to depoliticize local government. We need to have people that are there with one single motive, and the motive to serve. Unfortunately, because there has been a culture of treating public purse as one's savings or one's stockful or whatever, you know, we need to correct that. And I do think that the citizens have an opportunity, and especially at local government level, fortunately, 50% of councillors, we can still elect them directly as communities. They don't have to be aligned to any political party. They can stand as independents. And I think we now need citizens to come forward and begin to take over their own power.
I cited the numbers, the percentages that come from the Minister of Khoza, Zweli Mkhize, and I also cited the Auditor General's report. But let me find out from you as the Executive Director now, who is focusing on municipal level. What are your numbers telling you? What are the key things that are affecting the communities in a very negative way? You know, the kind of practices and things that are going on that we need to know about.
You know, first of all, I think the members of the public, they have to understand that the Auditor General, when he pronounces on the finances of the municipality, that information is only based on 10% of the audited information.
Okay.
And it's sample.
Yes.
It's the sample,
yes.
A sample of 10%.
Yes.
In other words, it means that the problem could be as high as probably 70% higher than what the Auditor General is reporting. I am not casting aspersions on the Auditor General. That is an accepted procedure of conducting an audit. But I am saying the rot is much deeper. And again, you look at even the Minister of Khoza. He is lamenting the collapse of municipalities. But the truth be told, these are the people that have been there since 1994. And at some stage he's been a premier in KZN. What did he do? Because this rot was happening even whilst he was there. So we have leaders that have mastered the art of wordsmithing, of speaking what people want to hear and not necessarily dealing with the problems, because I do believe that if leaders were committed, we would not be finding ourselves in the kind of situation that we are finding ourselves now.
But the service delivery protests provide enough evidence that things are not right at
Absolutely.
a very, very grassroots level, right? You just look at the numbers of them. They've been spiking over the years. They've been increasing every year. They're not going down.
And they are getting more and more violent.
Yes,
and they are undoing what the government has already delivered, the little that the government has delivered.
Yeah.
And I will keep on emphasizing this point. You know, when you have paralysis at leadership level, leadership is about everything. You know, you may have 10 rand, but if you have a good leader, that leader will understand how far this 10 rand can go, and this leader will also understand how best to invest in this 10 rand so that it can grow and have a ripple effect, a positive ripple effect. So what we have currently, we have leaders that are not, because they are themselves compromised to a very large extent, they are not willing to deal with corruption. I mean, you are talking about the Minister of OUTA, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but look at him. We had the mayor of Mkungundlovu district municipality. He was the premier there and was the chair of the ANC. That mayor of that district was removed because the municipality was implicated in all sort of some key individuals' leadership in that municipality were implicated. And guess what they did? Today she is the MEC. So how are you going to correct this when crime is rewarded? You know, you have a lot of people that are implicated in serious corrupt activities, and they always find a way of rising up. And those that are skilled, especially the young, and this is something that I've found now that I'm outside, I'm actually so shocked at finding so many highly skilled young people who have high moral standards and who have integrity, but they could not make it in the public service. They were either overlooked because they wanted you to do the right thing. In other words, the system has gone to an extent where if you are good, you are punished for that. And if you are bad, you are rewarded. And that culture has been growing. Here in South Africa, we had a deputy president who was accused of having raped, and he admitted to have slept with a minor, and who is 50 years younger than him. And what did we do as South Africans? We voted him we promoted him to become president. So why are we expecting different results? That's my problem.
Well, but I suppose we live in a time or an era where we think things are beginning to turn around. That's the impression that's created with all the commissions of inquiry that are taking place. Oh, as much as it's scary, I must note that the information coming out is shocking because it was confined to a story here, a story there before.
Yeah.
Now to hear that it was so cancerous and had spread so widely within the body politic of South Africa. But still, on the basis of optimism, one gets a sense that it can get better, don't you think?
Let me tell you, I'm very optimistic. I'm very optimistic. First of all, I think we need to appreciate that South Africa, unlike our counterparts in the continent, we've had one state failing after another state. At least we had a very good constitution. We established the systems. We established the systems, and that's one thing that I want to congratulate the ANC on. Even though it's going to hit them hard now, but the reality is that we have those systems in place to defend our democracy, and we have these commissions that are going on right now. In those countries, you've never had that, and as a result, that road continued. And I still believe that if the citizens are taking their rightful place, we can rescue South Africa, we can pick up our pieces, and we are hoping that those that are implicated are going to be prosecuted, because it's one thing to lament corruption and talk in these commissions, but if there's not going to be consequences for that, we might as well kiss good South Africa goodbye.
Well, I'm talking to Dr. Makhosi Khoza, and we will be talking about the inconsistencies at local government level, because the big metros, to my mind, appear to be doing relatively well, especially in Gauteng, but it is the district, at the district level, where things seem to be going awry, and we'll be finding out why this is the case. Please talk to us using the hashtag the Modise Network on social media. Don't go away.